Hi, my name is Doug Goldstein. I'm the Director of Profile Investment Services. I'm a certified financial planner and an international investment advisor. And today I'd like to talk to you about a topic that I deal with all the time, which is retirement. But specifically, I'd like to talk about the tools that people need in order to start planning for their retirement. So if you're beginning to think about retirement, and frankly, if you are old enough to be listening to this video, you're probably old enough to be thinking about that already. Let's see what you should be doing right now. In brief, today we'll be talking about planning, and we'll be talking about savings and the different ways of doing that. The problem that I see as a financial planner is I sit down with people, and it turns out that they haven't done any planning for retirement. In fact, it's interesting to know that under half the people in the United States have actually begun to even think about how much money they'll need to retire, and under a third of them participate in their corporate 401k plans, even though these are usually pretty good deals, especially when the company matches whatever you put in. But what do you do? Well, the first thing is that you should have already started. The second thing is you have to dream about your retirement. Third thing is you've actually got a plan on how you'll do it. Then you have to minimize your spending. Unfortunately, for most people, they have to actually put aside some real money. And finally, this is all part of the written plan. So let's go through these one by one. Starting yesterday. Why do I say that? It's because the most important benefit you'll get from your savings is the long-term growth. There is not a single person on the planet who can tell you what's going to happen in the stock market or the bond market in the future. We all have guesses and we all have ideas, but one thing we all know is that if you take your earnings and reinvest them, then you'll benefit from compound earnings, by compounding the returns that you're getting, letting your money really work for you instead of you working for your money the whole time. You'll benefit by growing your nest egg substantially, but the only way to do that is to do that over the long time. So if you didn't start yesterday, at least start today by putting aside some savings. The next thing is really to think more about retirement, much more beyond the financial question. The fact is, even though I'm a financial planner, I end up talking to people a lot more about what it is that they want to be doing in life. What has work held you back from? You've got to see a different life after you retire. Retiring is not just quitting your job. You need to retire not from something, but rather you need to retire to something new. What are you going to do? Are you going to travel? Are you going to visit your grandchildren? Are you going to go and study? Maybe even volunteering. Volunteering is great because it gives you the opportunity to give back to the community, to continue with the social life that you're probably very used to at work. In fact, I had an elderly couple come in, quite old and quite wealthy, and the husband was still working. And I said, of course, you do have the financial resources to retire now. And his wife jumped up and she said, no, I married him for better or for worse, but not for lunch. She knew that it was important for him to get out of the house. And maybe even for him, or for you, consider starting a new career. Planning your savings really means figuring out how much money you'll need in the future and then working backwards to see how much money you have to put aside today in order to do that. That requires that you create a financial plan that considers many, many different aspects because all of these come into play in your life today and certainly more so in your life in the future when you may not be earning money or be earning as much money as you are today. So you just need to look at your cash flow. What's the income? What are the expenses? Well, one of the incomes you're going to have is pensions. Ask your pension plan coordinator what you will get when you retire. Apply to Social Security and ask them for the form they normally send out to people every year, but if you didn't get it, you can just simply send in a request, and they will tell you your benefits and exactly what you can expect at different ages, whether you choose to start collecting at 62 or 65 or even 70, which helps you a lot because then you get a higher monthly payment. But then there's another expense, which is inflation. Did you know that inflation is really an expense? It works the same way because what might have cost you $100 today could cost you $103 next year if inflation is 3%, and, well, that's another cost to you. Then you have insurance. These days, a lot of times people feel that they don't need insurance once they retire, and they're referring to life insurance. And maybe that's true. You need life insurance to protect family members, especially children, if you are the main earner. But you may also need other types of insurance at this point, not the least of which could be excess health coverage or nursing home insurance. Consider your home ownership plans as part of your overall retirement plan. Do you want to stay where you're living? Are you looking to downsize? Are you hoping to upsize? Do you want to move to a different state? Maybe you'd simply like to move to a retirement village. Understand those costs to you as well. So we spoke about pensions and Social Security. You need to develop an emergency fund as well to make sure that you have enough cash on hand in case something happens. As the term suggests, if it's an emergency, it wasn't something that you predicted, but you can certainly keep at least 3 months worth of spending, and maybe as high as 6 or 9 months, available in a liquid account. That's a bank account, something that's a money market account, immediately accessible to you. Don't say, well, I could always sell my stocks and get the money. Who knows what emergency will really happen, and you don't want to have an emergency happen the moment the stock market crashes. And then consider medical costs, depending on what kind of insurance you have or what the government is giving at that point, and it seems that that's the type of thing that can change all the time. You may be on the hook to cover a lot of your expenses, so perhaps you even want to put aside a medical emergency fund. How much are you going to need to invest now to supplement your pensions? Well, that's the target for your savings, and that's what you need to calculate. How do you do it? Well, you could certainly minimize your spending. Cut spending today so you can save more for tomorrow, and generally that's a part of this whole plan. The other thing is to consider not retiring as soon as you can. We have another video about retiring early, and I speak to clients about that as well. But if you're happy working and you're making money, try and make sure that you've paid off your mortgages and you've paid off your debts so that at least you can retire with a clear conscience, and you know that that no one's going to come knocking at your door if you miss a payment, because you won't have any payments to make. The other thing is consider ending some of the life insurance that you have, because you no longer need it to supplement income, because you're probably no longer earning the income anyway. And the point of insurance is not just a lottery to make people rich in the event that you die. It's meant to be for protection. And finally, spend some time sitting down with your kids and discussing gifting or not gifting with them so that they understand and can expect the right thing. You don't want your kids feeling, gee, why aren't you helping me out here? You're so rich. Or the opposite. They may think you're very poor, but here you are giving them money because really you've been living with great humility and you're not trying to show off your wealth, but you are able to help them. And it's good if you have the ability to talk to your children to really share some of your financial situation with them, not necessarily all of the secrets if you're not comfortable. And if you find these discussions are hard to have, talk to your financial planner and see if he or she would be willing to sit down with you and your children to work out the overall plan. And it's critical that you write down that plan, because when you write it down, that's what keeps you on track. Certified financial planners are trained to do this with you, and CFPs cover lots and lots of different aspects of your retirement, the types of things that we spoke about here. Always remember that when you are considering retiring, you're going to see lots of new ideas out there. And a lot of people who may want to sell you a product are going to come and say, hey, buy my product. It'll give you enough income for the rest of your life to pay for your to replace your pensions or to replace your salary. You have to be very skeptical of all of these ideas. Keep things simple. Have a financial plan that looks at your life. Don't look at the standard financial plan for someone who's 60 years old, because it doesn't apply to everyone. It is not a one-size-fits-all type of model. So make sure you have your own financial plan. Use investments that you are familiar with or that you feel you can learn about. And if you have any questions or any comments, contact your financial planner, or please feel free to contact me. Again, my name is Doug Goldstein. I am a certified financial planner and an international investment advisor. You can contact me through our website at www.profile-financial.com.